Welcome to the Renaissance Achiever with Sarah Fui. Today we have a really fun topic, and I don't want the men to dismiss this episode and say this is not for me, this isn't applicable, I'm not interested, and tune out and change the podcast. Because even though this topic is about women and their menstrual cycles and emotions, it's actually very, very important information for men to understand, and I will give you a reason why. This is actually a concept that I came up with on my own, a theory, and I have coached clients on this. And I messaged my sister about this once, and I told her about this theory that I had, and she said, "Oh, that's what Eckhart Tolle talks about in this one chapter in the book, The Power of Now." And I was like, oh, dang. I was a little bit disappointed because I thought I had made up this concept. And so I'm a little disappointed that Eckhart Tolle got there before me. I haven't read that book yet. And so I really did come up with it on my own. However, it is out there in the universe already. And the ironic thing is I have that book, The Power of Now. I bought it back in 2018 and I haven't read it yet, even though it's called The Power of Now. But I think I started it and I just didn't feel really called to it yet. And somebody told me that you really have to just find it at the right time and feel called to read it. So maybe now is the time for me to read it now that I've had this epiphany related to a topic in that book. Anyways, my sister said that he mentioned something in the book about every month women have this chance for enlightenment with their cycle. And she never understood what that meant until I explained it in my terms. And then she understood the concept. So I got that on you, Eckhart Tolle, that I know how to explain it in a way that women understand. So what this concept is that we are all aware of women being emotional around the time that they are going to start their menstrual cycle, when they're going to start menstruating. We call it PMS and we say, oh, is it that time of the month? If somebody's being extra emotional. And in our society, we discredit women when it's that time of the month. And I really want to change that narrative. And when clients come to me and they're having an extra emotional session and then they tell me, okay, I'm also going to be getting my period soon, or I'm on my period and that's why I'm feeling extra emotion, this is what I say to them, that while we are more sensitive to our emotions during this time of the month, it doesn't invalidate what we're feeling. Just because we're crying more easily than we would at other times of the month, it doesn't mean that those feelings aren't real and that we shouldn't feel that way, or we're just being crazy or irrational. We're not crazy. We're not irrational. Those feelings are valid. And actually, because we're sensitive to them, what they're doing is they're bringing to light the things in our life that are in misalignment. So my friend, Mama Kai, who was on a previous episode, she said she's been listening to all my podcasts and she told me that I have 3 themes. Those themes are awareness, alignment, and authenticity. And I love that she broke it down. And that's totally the themes that I like to coach about. And so actually, I'm bringing all of those themes into this episode today. So when we are in this stage of our menstrual cycle where we are about to have our period or on our period, we have these heightened emotions or heightened awareness of our emotions that are always there under the surface. It's just that other times of the month, we're a little bit more numb to them so that we can be productive, so that we can be functional, we can get all the things done. And then we cycle around and say, okay, it's time to slow down. It's time to create awareness. Something here isn't right. This is why I'm emotional. Something is out of alignment. And when we can recognize those things and validate them and take action on them instead of dismissing it as, oh, I'm just PMSing. That doesn't mean anything. I'm just PMSing. No, it does mean something. It means look at this situation, look at this relationship or this job or whatever this stressor is and what needs to change. And then when you make that change to be in more alignment, you can live more authentically so that the other times of the month, when you are feeling productive and confident and you're in flow, you're in more alignment with who you really want to be. You're more of your authentic self. And it's such a gift that every month nature forces us to slow down and reset and reflect and say, why am I feeling emotional in this area? what is it that needs to change so that I can be more in alignment with my authentic self? And I have thought about people's resistance to doing the emotional work. I do a lot of trauma healing and inner child healing in the coaching that I do. And sometimes when someone is just on a high, and they're like, I am in flow, I am confident, I'm getting so much done, I don't want to touch that stuff because that's going to mess me up and take me off of this flow that I've been in, right? And I agree with that. I'm like, okay, now is not the time to be bringing up all this old stuff when you're being productive and you're getting it done. What I have come to realize is that probably has a lot to do with their cycle and where they are at in their cycle. And we all know with ovulation is the time when we're confident, we are social, we are productive. That's the time to go and bang things out and get your to-do list done and do all the things and achieve. And then as you're coming back around in the luteal phase and you're about to menstruate again, that is the time to sit when you're feeling the emotions are raw and they're coming up. That's the time to do the trauma healing. That's the time to do the inner child work. And I love that realization so that you don't have to avoid doing the work all the time and say, no, I'm good. I don't need to touch it. So actually, I do this type of healing on myself. I sit and I do EMDR on myself. If you're not familiar with EMDR, it's a form of trauma healing that uses neuroscience techniques to release stuck memories and stuck emotions that are subconsciously driving our behaviors. So anytime you feel triggered about something and you're wondering, why did that bother me so much? Because logically, I know it shouldn't bother me, but emotionally, I'm feeling all kinds of ways. That is an indication that there is an unprocessed memory that is subconsciously affecting you. And when you can do EMDR, you're healing that stuck memory and releasing it. And I actually have a friend who does Ho'oponopono practices, and it's emotional healing from a Native Hawaiian standpoint. And it really is very similar to the EMDR and inner child and parts work that I do, but from an indigenous lens. So Native Hawaiians actually had this knowledge and they were using very similar neuroscience techniques that EMDR uses to activate both the left and right hemispheres of the brain. So you have the logical and emotional parts of the brain, and as you're activating them when you're processing, you're helping to integrate them. And the Ho'oponopono practice does that. And when I say Ho'oponopono, I'm not talking about this, coaching fad that's on the internet that says, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, whatever that is circulating around. That is false. That is not Ho'oponopono. But that's a story for another day. So I'm just educating on the practices of healing trauma, and Ho'oponopono is one of them, and it's very much related to EMDR that I do. And so I actually sit and I do this work on myself where I process memories or I process triggers and inner child healing, and I release emotions, and I cry when I do it, and I sit there and I do it. And what I've realized is that certain times of the month, it's easier for me to access the emotions because other times I'm feeling so good that it's hard for me to feel emotional about past stuff. So when I am PMSing, that is a gift that I am able to access the emotions and sit down and heal them and release them. So I have put into my calendar on my phone in the days leading up to my period when I know it's coming, do EMDR, do inner child healing, because that's when I'm going to be ready to do it and awakened to the emotions. And that's the perfect time to release, where it can be very draining and heavy to go through that. And it's not going to throw me off of my productivity and my confidence at other times of the month if I do it then. And so I want to leave that message with women, that awareness that you can schedule your healing, your deep healing work around your cycle at the times that it's easier to access your emotions. And also I want you to recognize that your emotions are valid, even if they're showing up more than they normally would at a certain time of the month. It doesn't invalidate what's coming up for you, and you have every right to feel that way. What it is it's information telling you something needs to change. So what needs to shift? Is there a boundary that needs to be made? Is there a conversation that needs to be had? Is there something that needs to be let go of? Is there help that you need? Do you need help? Do you need to reach out and ask for more support and build community? So take those emotions, use it to help you to make actual changes in your life. And for the men who are like, I'm still listening, why am I here? Hey, you have emotional healing work to do too. We all do. I haven't studied enough on the cycles of men to know when is best for you, but how do you support women in your life for it is important. It's important for you to understand the phases that women go through in their menstrual cycle, because if you are in a long-term relationship, she is going through this every single month, and it is affecting the way you interact, the way you communicate, the way you are intimate. And if you don't understand where she is at in her cycle and why things are coming up, it's going to create different feelings for you. It's going to create miscommunication or hurt feelings or insecurities. And for my husband, we got the Inflow app recently. It was several months ago, but I got it for myself finally. And the Inflow app tells you what day of your cycle is on and what kind of symptoms you can expect to be experiencing. And so I had my husband sign up for it, just so he could learn about it, because he's so clueless as to these things about women, as most people are. Men and women are not taught about these things in our society, and we're just so misinformed. We think it's just bleeding once a month and someone acting irrationally and emotionally, and that's all we know about menstrual cycles. There's so much more to understand, and if we can change our education around it and change our perspective around it and treat ourselves differently when we're menstruating and treat other women differently, it can create such a more peaceful and productive society. So when my husband got this app and he was following it, he said it had relieved so much anxiety in him to understand where I was at in my cycle and to really not personalize things. And so, men, if you can educate yourself in this, it is going to improve not only your relationships, but your own peace of mind and self-esteem and understanding and communication and all of that. So educate yourselves on it. That is my 2 cents on this topic. Do the healing work. Don't invalidate the emotions, and educate yourself on the cycles. I know there's so much information out there about syncing your business and your personal life with your cycle. Like, you're not having these big important meetings or launches or speaking engagements during the time where you may be menstruating, or allowing yourself the downtime in your luteal phase, in PMSing, to do the healing work and to have less social engagements and more time with yourself. So women being more aware of those cycles and how they affect your lives and nurturing them. There was a reason why they had the whole red tent system in ancient societies, is women gathered together at that time. And I think it wasn't just to shun them away from society while they were bleeding, but it was also to give them that space to rest and heal and do the emotional work and support each other through that. So how can you create more awareness in your own personal cycles and honor them in your life? That is my message for you in the Renaissance Achiever today. I still have a few spots left in the Soul on Fire coaching program and retreat. If there are any women who are interested in going after the thing that they feel called to do and want support in that and want to do the deep healing work so that they can step into their most confident self, please reach out to me. I'm going to drop links in the show notes so that you can connect with me and get more information on this retreat. And if you liked this episode, please follow and subscribe to the Renaissance Achiever with Sarah Fui. And if you really loved this episode, don't forget to rate and review the podcast and share it with a friend.